Good evening, parents. Welcome to Economics. In a minute, I'm going to go ahead and start a PowerPoint that's about 10 minutes or so that's going to give you the overview of what we do here in Econ. So once again, welcome. Glad that you're here and looking forward to having your student in class. Once again, welcome to Economics. Here is the big overview of the class. There's my contact information right there. The best way to get a hold of me is email. I'm also on Twitter if you'd like. And at the end there, I'll get you my Google Voice phone number that the district has provided for us that you can reach out via phone or text. All right. So first of all, again, appreciate you being here. Now more than ever, there is this partnership with the parents, especially in this time of remote learning. But this is true whether we're in person, or if we're hybrid, or if we're remote or anything like that. This partnership with parents. And economics is a class that's omnipresent. It is literally everywhere, right? And as we go through some of the concepts, and maybe your students have already done this, started having conversations with you, or hey, I picked up on this in economics or something along those lines, continue that conversation. I appreciate that partnership and continuing the conversation with your students. We're going to be talking about personal finance. They're going to be talking about investing and budgeting. When we get into personal finance here at the end of the semester. They're going to be talking about supply and demand and how to make the world a better place. We got that coming up this week with the introduction to our summative assessment about how they're going to use marginal analysis to find a way to make something better in their world. Continue those conversations. We certainly appreciate the partnership from home with that. All right. So real quick, I'm Jason Janzik. This is year 20 here at Grayslake Central High School. Grew up in Mount Prospect, went to Prospect High School, graduated from Michigan State, Go Green, with a bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary social science. Also received master's degrees from Boise State in educational technology and National Louis in educational leadership. I am the social studies department chair here at Grayslake Central High School and have been for the last 7 years. So I've taught AP economics, and now I'm teaching economics. And I'm actually really excited to teach economics. I taught AP for about 6 or 7 years, loved it, but I was beholden to the College Board curriculum. This class, if some type of economic situation pops up, we could kind of deviate from it, and I don't have to worry about getting kids ready for a test at the end of May, right? We could kind of adjust the curriculum. So it's nice to be teaching this semester-long economics class because it gives me a little bit more autonomy into going into details as to, if things happen, we could take a couple of days and go into it instead of going, okay, hey, that's great, that happened, let's talk about it for 10 minutes and go with our curriculum. So AP's great, AP's awesome. If you want college credit, go for it, right? But the autonomy that the reg level course offers is a lot more flexible and I enjoy it because it leads to better conversations with our kids. All right, semester setup. We graze the surface of microeconomics and macroeconomics, and then we also have personal finance graduations. It's the graduation requirement. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. But we go into microeconomics. That's where we're at right now. We spend a little bit of time on macroeconomics. We go into a little bit of globalization coming up here. I'm going to show you that in just a second. And then end with personal finance, right? So what is my kid doing? What is my student doing? Well, they're acting like economists, right? Right now we're weighing cost and benefits of decisions made by individuals and firms. We've been looking at that. We apply it to a whole bunch of different scenarios. And then starting at the end of this week and into all of next week, they're going to be applying those costs and benefits into finding something to improve their community, or why it hasn't happened. Like a lot of times students will say, well, we need to build a tunnel for the trains for Gray's Lake because, it's Trains Lake, right? And so then we go into those discussions of, okay, what are the costs of building the tunnel? What are the benefits of having that tunnel? And then they see sometimes that it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. But we're going to be looking at a whole bunch of other different scenarios too that the students are going to come up with to better their experience, either at school or their community or their state or their nation. Right? We are going to be creating moments that allow them to apply these economic concepts and processes through the world. It's a little more difficult here in remote, but we're trying to do our best with that. And we've already created that. We talked about marginal analysis and dating last week. kind of brought econ into the dating world. I don't know if they were really thrilled about it, but it's really interesting to see how all of these concepts that we're studying apply across their world. Okay, they're going to be learning how to invest. They're going to be learning how to budget. They're going to be learning the dangers of debt, right? And this is in our personal finance unit, right? So we're going to be talking. They're going to be asking about Roth IRAs. They may be coming to you and asking for help with their budget. They will have them create a budget, which is kind of fun to do. So all of these conversations, we hope that you continue to partner with us as we move forward through all this. Hopefully we're back into hybrid by then, but I can't promise anything. That's at the end of the semester. But one way or the other, we are still doing all of those three. And then the last thing, we're learning how to become rational thinkers in an irrational world, right? And that's what we were talking about last week, being a rational thinker. You're going to choose the choice that gives you the greatest benefit for the least amount of cost, right? So kind of a breakdown as to where we're at here. We're just wrapping up Unit 1. We're going to get into Unit 2, not next week, but the following week, which is microeconomics. And again, we just glazed the surface of that just because it's a semester-long class. But we get into supply and demand and the impacts of price, and then government interventions into private markets, things like taxes and subsidies and things along those lines, and what impacts do those have on supply? What impacts do those have on demand? Macroeconomics is 3 weeks. We look at the GDP, inflation, and unemployment numbers, and we determine the overall health of the economy, and then we predict trends based upon past performance. That's kind of where we're headed with macro. Globalization is a 2-week unit that talks about how the economy works. Our economy works as a major player around the world. We look at where things are made from, and then the impact of having our country's import versus export and things along those lines. So that's a 2-week unit. 4 weeks for personal finance. Again, that is the graduation requirement. The personal finance assessment will be key to making sure they're able to graduate. I haven't had a student fail yet. This is one of my favorite units, and so we make it fun. And then last week is finals week. I put finals in quotation marks because there is no final in here this year. We'll talk about that in a second, but that is the last week heading into December. Okay, items of note. We've got the grading this year because there is no final. Dr. Landry at the district office said we're not doing finals. There's too many unknowns, and I totally respect that. We're not going to do a unit final assessment or a semester final, like a final assessment. Usually we have like a final that's worth 20%. It's not going to be the case. We will have a final assessment, but it's going to be lumped into the 80% of the summative assessment grade. So there is going to be at the end of the year a test, a summative assessment, but it's not going to be a final standalone 20%, right? And so looking at our grading, we've got 20% of our formative assessments, or 20% of the grades are formative assessments. Things are like quizzes, blog posts. We do weekly blog posts where the students have to reflect on their learning. The learning targets that come out, they have to somehow show that they are able to understand them and apply them through a blog post that we prompt them on Thursdays, and they're due on that following Tuesday. And then 80% of the summative assessments, basically that's putting all the learning targets together in some type of either project or presentation or application assessment. Like I said, we've got one coming up this week, starting this week, where we take a look at this whole concept of marginal analysis and opportunity cost and apply it to problems facing either our school, community, state, or national government. And then the other thing that we do is if you haven't been getting them, hopefully you have been. I send out weekly emails and videos and agendas, right? This is going to keep you informed of what's going on. I give you the weekly agenda. It's got the Zoom links. It's got everything in there. And so we're good to go with all of that. You should be getting those weekly from me. And should we move into one form of delivery or another, if we stay remote, you'll still get them. If we go into hybrid, you'll get them. If we go full, you'll still get those parents. So that's just kind of giving you an idea as to what's going on with what's happening in the class. All right. And that is going to wrap it up for me. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or tweet, or you could use that 608 number. I know it's kind of weird that we've got numbers out of Madison. It's a little bit different. I guess the 847 and the 224s are out, but that is the D127 Google Voice number that goes directly to me. You can call or text. If you text, please just let me know who you are so I know you're not trying to send me $1 billion from a long lost uncle who lives in Europe or something like that. I would certainly appreciate that. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight as to what we're doing in our class. And again, feel free to reach out via email or Twitter or Google Voice, and I would appreciate it.